to Sunday.
It's hard to explain, okay? But
All day. All year round.
it's so mysterious.
This is who we are.
This is who we are. WAVR.
Africa, what is your language?
Dédé àsìkò yìí o ẹ̀yin ìsakété ìlú tí ń sọ̀rọ̀ sí yín gbogbo ìgbà ni mo ń foti West Africa Democracy Radio.
Shekka muna a Najeriya. Ku saurari WAVR.
Beneganna ko hangadam WAD.
Liberia with West Africa Democracy Radio.
Je suis à Dakar, au Sénégal, et j'écoute la WADR 94.9 FM.
Benegana wa Kilsime WADR. Le année West Africa Democracy. West
Attention, ladies and gentlemen.
It's time to embrace a youthful mindset and envision your future. Take the lead is in your walls.
Take the lead is in your walls.
This platform serves as a space for engagement designed to equip young people to become effective leaders. They are actively contributing, creatively engaged, and determined in various fields. And now, this is Take the Lead.
Hello, West Africa and the bold, brilliant young people turning in from around the world. Welcome. This is Take the Lead on West Africa Democracy Radio, your youthful platform where ideas are discussed and actions follow. I am your host, Augustine Bilkerly, and today we are focusing on securing the environment. Particular concern is about how youth are strengthening resilience through climate initiatives in vulnerable communities. As usual, we have some young climate innovators with us, as well as leaders, including an expert to share insights with us regarding the topic. Among them is Mr. Amadou Sall. And Amadou Sall is a climate adaptation expert at the Ecological Monitoring Center for National Resource Management in Senegal. And in French, they'll say Centre de Suivi Écologie, if I got that right. How are you doing, Mr. Sall? Welcome, sir.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me to this emission.
Okay, sir. How is the work going on with you at the CSE?
Yeah, everything is okay. We try to do our best. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I know engaging people with environmental work, it becomes more scientific or more critical in terms of researching and helping these people understand how they should live and also avoid disasters when it comes to hazard and other things. Is it something very easy doing or it's complicated?
No, not complicated. Chez is a Senegal leading institution for environmental monitoring and natural resource management. And for over decades, we work by using Earth observation and satellite data to track land degradation, flooding, risk, and so on. It's not very complicated, but yeah.
Maybe because you are the professional, so it's not complicated to you.
Yeah, if you have if you set up procedures and rules, methodologies, even young people can follow. There's the way we try to address. There's problems.
Yeah, and that's why it is good that we have you with us, so that these young people can also learn from what you will be saying. Next is Umu Diko, and Umu Diko is the president of the Youth Association for the Defense of Human Rights and Protection of the Environment in Mali. Mali is in the Central Sahel, so you know what that means when it comes to insecurity and especially also protecting the environment. How are you doing, Umu? And welcome to the program.
Thank you. Hello, good afternoon. I'm doing very good.
Yes, you sound lively. How is Mali as well and the young people?
Yeah, everything is going good.
Okay, great. You will tell us how good they are. If there are some issues, certainly that's what we are here to talk about. We also have Abdul Karim Sise. Abdul is the founder of the Atru STEM. It is an initiative about building and equipping climate act innovation centers in vulnerable communities in Sierra Leone. This is also providing training to young people about how to preserve the environment, also predict future climatic disasters. How are you doing, Abdul? Welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm doing extremely well and I'm super happy to be here.
Great, great. And the young people in Sierra Leone, are they okay?
They are a bit, because we have some issues yesterday when they increased the fuel price in the country, and most of the young people are currently on social media ranting. So, yeah.
Okay, we hope that things get better, as well as you, our wonderful listeners and viewers. Some of you are champions of climate change. So join us by sharing your thoughts on the live social media feed, just right there on Facebook and YouTube, WADR English, and we will certainly read them out on the show. 1 billion children are vulnerable to climate change impacts every year. And this is according to a study published by the Global Alliance for Disaster Risk Reduction and Resilience in the Education Sector, GARES. The impact of natural hazards on this demographic, compounded by community conflict, particularly in vulnerable areas, is of serious concern given the increasing intensity and frequency of such events. UNESCO says equipping youth is key to building a resilient future with leaders who can tackle complex challenges and ensure sustainable communities worldwide. Having said that, from UNESCO, let's know from you, Mr. Sa, what do you say about equipping youth when it comes to fighting climate change effects?
Yeah, climate change is what experts call street multiplier. It does not create, for example, insecurity, but it takes existing fragilities and makes them catastrophic. It is a street multiplier, And in Africa, okay, it's obvious that just we produce less than 400 of greenhouse gas emission, but we suffer most from impact of climate change, and we have this in our cities, urban cities, with the flood, with the land degradation, with the loss of wetland, and the most vulnerable people are young and young girls, who suffer more with the effect of climate change.
Because we are also looking at the level of insecurity some form of climate change causes, what do you think could be the risk of insecurity as a result of climate change?
Yeah, the link or the connection between climate stress and insecurity is direct. Why? Because when a farmer in Senegal, in Mali, or another West African country lose his harvest due to flood or droughts, maybe his children cannot go to school, And when a young person who also has no income, no land to farm, and no prospect for the future, the risk of radicalization or illegal migration or to involve in conflict could increase significantly. And we are seeing this in the Sahel. So to say just the environment and security are deeply interconnected.
Mm-hmm. We will come back to you quickly, but let's now go to the Sahel, since you mentioned about the Sahel, where Diko is as a president of a youth organization. There's two different things to look at here. First, the organization advocates for the protection of the environment. At the same time, defense for human rights. Tell us, firstly, explain the mission of this organization. You have two important focus to look at. Can you clearly explain what the organization mission is about in terms of meeting the objectives of your organization?
Thank you so much for discussion. As the name in my organization is in French, l'Association de jeunes pour la défense des droits humains et la protection de l'environnement. And our organization works at the intersection of the human rights and environmental protection in Mali, and strongly focused with the vulnerable communities, particularly women and youth. And our mission is not only to raise awareness, also to work with communities to support them because they are facing in the climate crisis. Like, we advocate for their rights and for sustainability, inclusion, solution, and strengthen their resiliences. As I'm coming from the northern part of the country where the climate crisis is affecting badly young population, and like women and girls, mainly women and girls, and these crises are cause many issues in our community. That's why I'm working in order to help those vulnerable communities to overcome these challenges that they are facing.
Now, several studies have shown that climate change can get worse as a result of tensions or conflicts between communities. For the Sahel and specifically Mali, tell us, to what extent does this climate change affect the areas or the communities in which you work?
Well, the affection of the climate change touch directly the vulnerable cause. The communities are facing multiple crises at the same time, like climate change, droughts, floods, and combined with insecurity. And this leads to displacement and the loss of the livelihood, food security, and also limits access to basic services like healthcare, education, and so on. And young people are the most impacted on these challenges because everything that comes, they usually left about the opportunity and the support. Talking about the girls in my community, schools are closed since 2018 due to climate change and the displacement of the population coming in the cities.
Great. It's also important to distinguish between the two, defense for human rights and also protecting the environment. You could simply say, okay, I just want to focus on the environment. And maybe another person will say, let me just focus on the defense of human rights. But why did you, in fact, plan to blend the two together in one objective there in Mali?
Like, as we know, climate change and environmental protection are linked. We cannot talk about the climate change without talking about the human rights. That's why directly about the human rights and environmental protection at the same time. A lot of young girls and children, mainly women, are affected. Their rights are affected due to the climate change. That's why our focus touches them directly.
Well, great. We'll come back to you. It's very interesting, dear, from your organizations in Mali. Let's cross over to Abdul in Sierra Leone. You are about this OSIWA, environmental science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, building equipment for climate act innovation in Sierra Leone. Tell us about this organization, what it details, and how does it carry out its functions in Sierra Leone?
Okay, thank you very much. So OSIWA, as you explained correctly, it's OSIWA environmental science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics training. So this was born out of curiosity because as somebody with lived experience with climate-related disaster, most of the time we face these challenges. Whenever they come to us to maybe understand what the problem is, devise solutions, we that are facing the issues, we are not included in that particular process. They only ask us questions, but when it comes to actually solving the problem, they don't include us. And we are the ones facing it, and then we understand it better because those people are coming from a very different community that is very, very, very safe. So you are coming to me trying to understand my problem. When it comes to solving my problem, you're not including me. So as a young person, I'm like, okay, what if we can actually take charge of our own problems? And what if we can participate actively without people telling us what to do? So that was how the altruism came about. And the altruism, we are working in partnership with the CDMC. So CDMC is more like committees for disaster management controls in different communities. So we recruit young people from coastal slum communities that are mainly prone to climate-related disasters. We train them using the principles of engineering, research, data collection. And the most important thing of this particular initiative is that we also place high value on local knowledge, like indigenous knowledge. Each community have representatives that have been at this particular community for over a decade, some even 2 decades, and they understand how the environment works better than the people that are even coming. So we also extract knowledge from those people. We turn that particular knowledge into visual arts, and then we create awareness about climate change, ensure that we also train youth using engineering principles for them to build context-specific solutions. So that was how the altruism initiative came about.
Great. Now, clearly explain the process, the teaching process or the innovative process. When you gather these young people, what are the processes that they go through to become resilient people in their communities?
Okay, so through the CDMCs, we already have a list of the major challenges that each community face every year. So from that particular report, now each community have their own priority. Let's say, for example, Coco Bay community, their own priority is the one to address flooding. Susan's Bay community, their own priority is the one to address the extreme heat. You understand? So from the recruitment parts, we have climate arts and technology innovation centers where they go engage on research, both primary and secondary research, and then they come up with specific findings and possible ways on how to solve this. But the key part here is after their secondary research, they come back to the community with their findings, and then they engage the community again for the art part. Like, based on your time here, what have been the most common things that you think are happening here? From that particular findings, as I mentioned, they now create like a whole visual explaining what's the major problem, what's led this to happening, what were the consequences. And then that narrative is very easy to translate to the young people. Like, this was what happened 5 years ago, this was what happened 2 years ago, and these are the consequences of what happened. Now, this is what we need to stop from happening. And the best way we need to stop it from happening is by using this knowledge to develop this particular solution. So each community have their own context-specific solution based on their need at that particular time.
Okay, great. Now, Mr. Sa, you just heard these young innovators. From what they're explaining, the problems, climate-related problems they seek to address, are they related to the work that the Ecological Monitoring Center in Dakar also carried out?
Yeah. At Chez, Centre Civil Écologique, we try to address some challenges, related to climate change. And from our work, for example, I will mention one project we have called it Chez. Chez covers 10 countries in West Africa, founded by African Union and European Union. And it is a sustainable wetland and flood management. And what we're trying to do is to try to address recurrent flooding, land degradation, wetland, and also limited access to information. These are challenges we try to address even in Senegal, but in other countries. And if I get back to the flooding, for example, what I want to mention is each rainy season bring more destructive floods. For example, in 2024, in Senegal, Mali, Burkina, Niger, and Ghana, these are some among the 10 countries we are. We monitor several floods events that wipe it out livelihood in community across the region, and young people who often lack land ownership or saving have no means, no buffer to recover. If I take also limited access to information, because it is a challenge, young communities often face there's a shock without the early warning system and also data tools that could help them to better prepare in order to closing the gap between available science and community access.
Now, these challenges you talk about, are they also prevalent in Senegal?
Yeah, of course. In Senegal, even in Mali, in Burkina Faso, Niger, Ghana, and Nigeria, because these countries are among the country where we work in the Gedeziao project. And in Senegal also, we work closely with one institution, the DPN, la Direction des Parcs Nationaux in French. And it is a direction to protect, the nature, and we work closely in order to address the challenges.
I'm concerned about the risk factor of these challenges of wetlands, droughts, floods. What risks do they pose? Do they pose risks like resorting to migration, unemployment, and even conflict among youth groups, considering the Casamance region in Senegal, where we have conflict-related issues with the FMDC? What about areas like Bakel? Are people threatened by them wanting to cross over to Mauritania, like Kidira? Are they forced by the river trying to move now into Mali as a result of these climate-affected issues?
Yeah. For this topic, what I want to say is, when floods, for example, hit a rural community, the seconds is almost predictable. Loss of crops, loss of income, family pressure, school dropout, and then the search for alternative. And what I want to conflict is also real, and in area where because we have conflict, we have also migration. For conflict, for example, in area where pastoralists and farmers compete for fertile land and water resource, tension could escalate. And at CSO, we have documented this dynamic in several countries we work with, even in Senegal. I can't mention just one example. Maybe you know it. It is in Porto Alegre in Brazil in 2024. If you remind, because in May 24, floods left 400,000 homes in danger zone, cut electricity for 23 days, and blocked nearly every road out the city, and just to say that flood could have consequences in terms of security. and also in terms of migration, because when young people have no inheritage land, useful, unusable land, maybe they could migrate in other cities or abroad, and sometimes it's very dangerous.
All right. Now, having said that, let's hear from Umu Diko in Mali. This country is among 3 central Sahelian states facing extreme insecurity. Umu, I'm concerned about the young people's livelihood, most of whom may be wanting to do agriculture, but there could be this fear of terrorists occupying forest land or wetlands. So as a result, these young people may be afraid to go into the bushes and maybe create farms to sustain themselves. They issued about protecting the water. There could be conflict, maybe as a result of community conflicts. People are polluting waterways. How is the organization helping to create awareness among these young people to feel very resilient in terms of going out, planting these crops, using these lands, and also protecting their own resources for themselves? What particularly is the organization doing towards this?
Yes, we have implemented several activities to help young people overcome those challenges. For example, we organize a raising awareness for the young people, like environmental education in different schools. We also support community affected by flood and drought in our community, as in 2024. Most of our villages in the northern of the country have faced a flood and a drought. We also promote the sustainable environmental practices, how they can use their local product in order for them to be resilient in those climate crises that they are facing. We also raise awareness about young people who are migrating or displaced due to the inter-conflict war between 2 ethnic groups in our country. As Mr.
Sal.
Mr. Sal said, due to the climate change, we can have a conflict between 2 ethnic groups and pastoralists and farmers. So due to that, a lot of young people migrate from coming in the city. So we also set some activities for them to overcome these challenges, like raising their awareness, how to create income-generating activities for themselves in order for them to stay in those villages and they can work for themselves. So we also work with actors to identify the solutions that they are adapting to their realities, because community-based approaches are the most effective for them to use their local initiative and in order to adapt in those communities.
Now, how would you describe the impact so far? Is the organization making progress in these activities?
Okay, one example that stands out is when we work with community directly by flooding through awareness ready and youth mobilization. The community get more tools and become more engaged in protecting their environment and better prepare for their future risks that are coming. Like there's awareness of those young people how to overcome this flood, and they're also trying to share their experiences with their elders in order to avoid these risks. This experience, so as when people are formed and empowered, they can become a part of the solution, as they are holding knowledge and sharing with those who are facing this risk.
Okay, thank you. Let's hear from Abdu. Abdu, you also involved yourself with ensuring early warning systems, that is to predict future occurrences and also find ways to avoid them securing the future. Let's know, how do you go about doing this? The early warning systems solution that you provide for vulnerable communities, and how involved are the young people in those early warning systems?
Okay, so for that, we're working with the Freetown City Council. Yeah, we develop, like, the young people from these communities develop what we call like an electronic box with different sensors monitoring different things. For example, we're monitoring the heat wave, we're monitoring the famous and most hazardous gases. Yeah? On the box, we send that particular data to the Freetown City Council, and then the Freetown City Council have what we call this USSD system, wherein they leverage each and every mobile network in the country to send alert about environmental safety. So from each community, the data that they receive, they now disseminate it to these mobile companies, and then these mobile companies now send it as text to different people across the country. That's one. Another way is we are also working with the large-scale industries in the country. They also have these same boxes at their manufacturing sites. The goal is to ensure that they know how much they are contributing to the environment. And then if it exceeds a specific threshold that is stated by the Council and the Ministry of Environment, the government is supposed to issue a fine to these people. So these are the two key early warning systems that we have developed, and these are the people that we're working with in sending out this information.
Now, in your work you do you have the feeling that, because you spoke about the Sierra Leone City Council, do you have this feeling that public policies sufficiently take into account the youth and climate dimension? Are they prioritizing youth climate initiative in Sierra Leone?
I think in the last 2 years, they're making progress in that particular area. But before that, we were not prioritized. Now, prioritizing the youth is one, but prioritizing the people that have actual experience with this particular problem is also another one. Let's say, for example, the Freetown City Council, maybe they have young people working for them. We can consider those people as youth. But now the people that are facing the issues from these different communities, they are not the ones working for them. Do you understand? So they are making progress in involving young people. However, involving young people that have already faced this particular issue is the biggest concern here.
Now, that is a biggest problem. But then it brings me into the challenges. Now, let's just talk about the challenges. Aside from that, are there additional challenges that your initiative is experiencing while carrying out these activities to help young people?
One of the key challenges we were facing is acceptance from community. However, to address that particular area, that was why we decided to work with the CDMCs, like the Committees for Disaster Management Control from each communities. They are the ones that led the whole campaign about this particular initiative, and then it was easy for most communities to adjust and also accept our initiative. But for some communities, because most other communities doesn't have the CDMCs, what we did was we had to get approval from the Freetown City Council, allowing them to first of all establish a CDMC, and then we work with the CDMCs. So one of them, as I mentioned, is acceptance from the communities. Another one is also visibility. For now, we are only working within the Freetown capital, like the city. However, there are also other areas that are prone to climate changes outside the city. You understand? We don't have that enough visibility for us to reach those people. But in that particular area as well, we're also working with the country office here, the Freetown City Council, for them to link us to these other municipalities and then also get that easy acceptance.
Well, we will come back to you so that you will also tell us more about how you are addressing these challenges that come along as you go about helping vulnerable communities. But to you, Mr. Sal, are there challenges too? I believe there are some when it comes to the CSE work in vulnerable communities. What are the challenges the organization faces?
Yeah, as I said earlier, in terms of challenges, I mentioned for example, I let me double click just on the wetland loss. It's a very important wetland.
Yes, I know you talk about the wetland. Let's talk about maybe the residents' understanding about predicting future disasters, understanding how to prevent them. Do they have that knowledge? Is it something that you find difficult when you try to help these communities because they are already affected and they are lost in their lands and some of them are even leaving the places? Aside from that, do you face any challenge with their understanding about how to prevent those occurrences?
Yeah, for example, what we built is job portal, for example, a job portal, when people, even young, could try and to see all relevant data and information, allowing them to cope, to have the right information in order to adapt. This job portal is online in Senegal, and because in West Africa we have 16 sites, monitor it, you know. Also we develop also early warning system for forecasting floods, using of course EO Earth observation data. Also we have we train young people, because in this program also we have 13 master's fellowship award for 13 young students across the West Africa, and allowing them to have the right tools, in order to participate in the work we did on the ground, because we believe that the young have to be not just the beneficiary, but to be also the co-designer of what we are doing, what we are implementing on the ground.
Now, aside from that, considering that you are on a YouFood platform and we have some young climate innovators, is the CSE working, or does it have a specific project that deals with young people into climate-related activities?
If I take I'm very glad to talk about the Jadejao project, because in this project, capacity building is a main component of this project. And we organize many hackathons. And also in some countries, for example, Senegal, Mali, Burkina Faso, we create what we call girls club for excellencies, in order to help the young generation to be trained in the EO observation, how to interpret, how to preserve, to protect environment, and it's a very, 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 very important. And we have a focal point in these countries, just to organize many training.
Okay. Great. Now let's hear from you, Umon, in terms of the support base. Is the organization being funded or supported by any individual or by the state? How do you get support to carry out these initiatives in the country?
Usually we gather funds by ourselves. Each organization member has to bring a specific amount every month, and each organization also have to bring an initiative that they want to implement in their communities. And through that, if we contribute money, this person can implement the activity that he brings in our organization. And second, we receive support from partnership, local and international organizations, as well as we also collaborate with community leaders. For example, if we don't have enough support, community leaders can help us to implement those projects that we have. However, this remain, we need a lot of things. We have a lot of initiatives to do, but we don't have enough opportunities as other countries. And as you know, Francophone countries are facing a lot of challenges. Mainly you have fun due to the language barriers, firstly. And secondly, the organizations are not believing in younger generation to implement those projects. For example, if you see the proposal, you can apply, but they don't believe in you. They are asking about 4 or 5 years experience. And if you are a young organization, it's very difficult for you to get those funds. But you have capacity, you have experiences, you know how to implement those activities. But due to the certain years they are requesting for the support, unfortunately, we cannot apply it. That's why we are contributing our own money to implement those activities.
Well, it's a very serious explanation, and it's also good that we also have an expert with us on the show, and I believe Mr. Sal is listening to you speak about that. But as you strive with these things, what are the responses you are getting from the communities? I mean, the men and women where you go and help these other young people, how are they reacting to your work?
Because they are seeing the real impact that we are doing, the activities are giving the fruit, as we can say in French, that we are doing. So they are helping us, even if, for example, we don't have specific fund to implement the activity, they can just encourage us by doing it like volunteering, or if they have some fund in their account, they can support us even like logistically or something. And also they motivate other young people to join our organization or to just volunteer in those initiatives that we are doing.
Okay, that's great. For you, Abdul, earlier you were speaking about the challenges you face in Sierra Leone. How do you mitigate them? Because you have a vision of helping vulnerable communities through young people. So how do you go about addressing those challenges, despite maybe the not much support from the state or NGOs? How do you navigate through to become successful?
Okay, so for us, we do that mainly through partnerships. Yeah, support within the country, we don't have like financial support, for example. We don't have that across from Sierra Leone. However, we have also been reaching out to external organizations. For example, we are currently being supported by the Youth for Climate through its call for solution, which is already open, by the way. And maybe I can also recommend, if possible, you can also share the link to Umu, because she's also doing a very good job. Maybe she can also apply for that. For example, what
is the Youth for Climate?
So the Youth for Climate, it's a platform where young people that are working in the climate space, they send in their proposal, and then they have different themes. They have agriculture, they have technology, they have architecture, and if you're selected, you have a grant of $30,000, grants of up to $30,000 to ensure that you implement your project, and then they provide follow-on support as well. Not only the finance.
Who are those providing the support?
Youth for Climate. So it's also a program that is being backed by the UNDP. It's called the Youth for Climate Solutions. Maybe when you go online, you check for Youth for Climate Solutions. And I think the application for this year is closing on the 28th of this month. Okay. So aside from that particular support we're receiving, we're also having partnership with established NGOs in the country. For example, through the support from Youth for Climate, we are also in contact with the UNDP office in Sierra Leone. You understand? Since the Youth for Climate is a program supported by the UNDP, we're also in contact with the UNDP office in Sierra Leone. And these organizations, wherein with their letter of maybe reference, it's very difficult for other institutions to deny. We also work with the Freetown City Council, and then we also have grassroots organizations from the country that are also interested in preserving the environment. So we mitigate these challenges mainly through partnership from these institutions and also the external bodies that we have that are supporting the work that we are doing.
Great. Now, back to you, Mr. Sal, as we draw down, what practical actions you think young people can take at community levels, at country levels, and because you are going global, continental, I would say continental-wise, in terms of becoming resilient youth that are able to sustain their environment through climate action?
Yeah, I want to give some answers that are actionable.
Okay.
One is know your environment. Why? Because young have to know, to learn the sign of change in their own community. What does it mean? When, for example, the river rise in a certain way, when the soil change color, when certain birds disappear, this local ecological knowledge is invaluable and too often lost. Second is use available tools. Free tools exist, and our Jedediao flood reporter, the MIFMAF platform, for example, that community can use to report and monitor floods events. And the third is organization, to be organized. For example, to have community of practice work, the COP, community of practices, and advocate also. I ask young, for example, to demand that local authorities to integrate climate risk into planning decision. And finally, plant and restore.
Okay.
Why it is important? Because tree planting, mangrove restoration, protecting river banks, these are things young people can do today with immediate impact. These are just some practical action can young people take at the community level.
And achievable ones too. But now, let's finally hear from you, Umun. Looking ahead, what policies or actions would you like governments and the stakeholders in the Sahel to prioritize when it comes to helping vulnerable communities and also empowering organizations like yours?
Okay, I think it's essential for government and stakeholders to adopt a more interactive approach, including like investing in youth-led initiatives, strengthening climate adaptation strategies, improving access to basic service to those local communities that are affected by the climate change, and also promoting peace and stability. Because without security development, it's very difficult, and without environmental protection, community cannot be resilient. And also believing to those youth initiatives, believing in themselves, they have capacities, they have knowledge, they have experiences. And if you give them funds, just let them do their work in the ground. And you will see the result of the development and you feel,
Okay. Yes, that's right. Umu, thank you so kindly for being with us today. We will keep in touch with you for another conversation. Thanks so kindly. Okay, now let's hear from you, Abdul. How do you plan to expand your initiatives in other parts of Sierra Leone? For now, you are only in the capital, Freetown. So what are your plans for expansion?
So our plan is to ensure that we have a solid foot on ground in the city, and then we can use attraction. When we have solid one, we can use that particular attraction to scale to the other parts of the country. And by doing so, one of the key things that we'll need to do is have municipal partnerships. Like every province we go, we ensure that we partner with the body responsible for environmental management and also keeping the city clean and safe. That's one. Another way is ensure that we organize more activities wherein young people can participate and ensure that we don't need to be the one, even, for example, my organization don't need to be the one sending out the message, but the young people that are being impacted are the ones that will be the pioneers of everything, like encouraging other communities, encouraging their colleagues from different areas. Like, this is a very good initiative. Let's involve in this, and with that, we can have collective empowerment and very, very, very strong responsibility, because at the end of the day, it's our environment, and nobody is going to save it for us unless we take the action.
Wow, thank you so kindly, Abdul. We will keep in touch with you for more interactions. Please have a great day. And now to you, Mr. Sal, in your parting comments, are there plans by the CSC to prioritize the full involvement of young people in climate resilience program?
Yes, And this is not just a plan. It is already embedded in how CSO work every day. The evidence is in what we have done, the fellowship programs, the girls club, the hackathon. In 2025, we organized a regional youth hackathon in Abuja, Nigeria, focuses on Earth observation and climate solution. It's very important. And we want to be also honest, and we know we can do more. And I think the future programs have for Chez Africa, for example, to put, there is a need to place yours, not just, as I said, as beneficiaries, but as co-designer of solution. Young people who live at this risk community understand the challenge better than any satellite can capture. And at CSA, we continue to invest in training, fellowship, and tools that give young people, including women, the scientific and technical skills to lead on climate resilience.
Well, it was a wonderful conversation with you, Mr. Sal. We hope that this will not be the last. We hope to have you back in our studios for more discussions about the activities you carried out.
It will be a pleasure.
Great. And that's it on this edition of Take the Lead on West Africa, the Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM Dakar, Senegal, and online at wadr.org. Thank you for being with us today. Please join us next Friday for another live episode. Remember to take the lead in shaping the discourse for the betterment of young people in Africa. My name is Augustine Bilkali. I'll talk to you another time.
Hey people, my name is Mello, Afrobeat singer from Guinea, and I love listening to the program Take the Lead on West Africa Democracy Radio.
Hello, my name is Fatou Bintou Asuke. I'm the CEO of African Start Shop, and I love listening to the